everybody, welcome back to another video reaction. And today we're looking at X Goes Solo's Honkai Star's power creep is out of control. I mean, last time I looked at one of his videos, he was talking about Jing Liu. And like, to be honest, Jing Liu has been, I did agree with that. Jing Liu has been extremely power crept. I felt like when I got Jing Liu, I haven't really used her since I got her. But because I mean, let's be honest, it's really I use Acheron or use Firefly at this stage. And then it looks like Acheron's also going to get a massive buff when Zhao Q drops. Alright, well, let's check out the video though.
Games and power creep go together like fine wine at a bougie restaurant, and while sure, you may not want to serve the fine wine, you're going to be missing out on a huge majority of rich people who think they're too good for grape juice. I'm saying this abstract comparison now to just let you all know that power creep in of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. As the game gets older and as content gets more difficult, you expect new characters to be able to counteract that content and be able to clear it comfortably. However, the problem comes in when the newer characters are substantially stronger than the older ones, to the point where by running these older characters, whether that be because they're all you have or you like them, you are at an extreme disadvantage, or, in a worst case scenario, completely lack the ability to clear the content. To that...
Well, I feel like especially with when Firefly came out. Firefly, like when Ron May did a rerun, or Ron May had a rerun, they literally made it so you had literally let me use Firefly efficiently. You had to use it. You had to have Ron May. But to be fair, Firefly pretty power crept Boot Hill, and he did, and then she did. She completely power crept Boot Hill at the time. I feel like with I wouldn't say with all old characters, but with the characters in the recent reruns, I feel like the character has a lot of the new characters. You need to have the rerun in the team. I think they've done that. It's more like a pull for the rerun as well. If you don't have the rerun, because it works well with the Prem banner. I think they've done that on purpose to. They've done that on purpose, so like, oh yeah, you get the brand new character, but hey, this old character that's doing a rerun, it also works well in the team with it, because with Young Lee, it goes really well with Hua, and I would assume Sparkle would go really well with Zhao Q in an Acheron team. As I said, I feel like utilizing them in the reruns to make them like uber strong.
And I often propose the best way of gauging how bad power creep is in a game is to take the standard 5-star units, or whatever you get at the beginning that was considered high quality, and then compare that to the end game high quality. And if this is a game with a level system, then whatever the hardest content is at the tail end of both gameplay styles, that's what you want to test it on. And depending on how quickly each one clears, you could then thereby, an extension of, figure out how much better the new stuff is. It's not a flawless tactic, of course, especially if the live service game is still developing the most recent meta, but when it comes down to mobile gacha games that often are in a complete avoidance of buffing characters upon release, it works pretty well. And to that end, I would like to finally come out and say that the Honkai Star Rail power creep is completely out of control. For the longest time, I was pretty avoidant to the fact, because I believed that DHIL and Jing Liu being as strong as they were wasn't really indicative of anything, because at the time the meta had hardly developed and we were like, what, 4 patches in, so it didn't really seem like it was that important. However, now more than ever that we're approaching about a year and a half into the game's life cycle, I thought it would be appropriate to take a step back and try and gauge how strong stuff is now compared to how they were in the past. And what I found would...
To be fair, I'm only, let's be honest, I only I didn't start until like when Agenti. I first really started when Agenti came out, and I really liked Agenti when he dropped. So I don't. I missed out on a lot of characters. I missed out on a lot of characters. I'm gonna be honest. In my personal opinion, I think I don't know. As I said, I still think that. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe old characters are not great at the moment. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things. Either they do well or they don't do well. It's really hard to say.
Which was exactly what I had been warning people about, is that a vast majority of support and DPS units from pre-version 1.5 are just completely unusable now. It's gotten so bad that when I was checking my YouTube studios in between queuing up for Final Fantasy XIV dungeons, I was getting inundated with comments of people telling me that I was always right about Jinglu. So, for those who don't remember, I made a video a while ago saying that if you want to pull for longevity, don't go for Jinglu. It's not a good idea. And at the time, I had a whole bunch of people telling me how wrong I was and how they believed that Jinglu was actually an amazing pull for future endeavors. And my response to a vast majority of these was, just give it a few months and we'll see what you're saying. Lo and behold, a few months later, people were saying, oh yeah, you were right the whole time. Now the new Hunt characters are even out DPSing her. Now I don't sound...
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I wanted Jingliu. I mean, when Jingliu came out in rerun, I wanted her anyway. Because she was good. At that stage, I didn't have a strong ice character. Yeah, I think my freaking Herder's doing better. I don't think I've even built Jingliu at all. Well, I feel like I don't really need to, because like I have Firefly, I have Acheron, I have. You know, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really need to build her. So like, yeah, I kind of go solo here. Like, yeah, she's not like all the Hunt characters are now. All the Hunt characters now are out DPSing her. I think even Boothill is got massively power creep because of Firefly. Does more damage than what Jingliu does. And that's like even a barely built frickin' Boot Hill as well.
I'm too excited about that, because at the end of the day, people aren't going to remember me as the person who was right in the end. They're only going to remember me as the person who they thought was wrong. And also, the video people will tell me I was right about is the joke version of the video, the one that I actually cut out half of it because I knew it would fly over people's heads. So that's kind of a hollow victory, but if you know anything about the gacha scene and how close-minded they are to any opinion that's not of the status quo, just seeing that comment speaks numbers. Now, so far, I've only really been talking about Jinglu, but it's not just her. In fact, she's probably the most recent on the totem pole to fall. It's almost like everybody in a pre-Jinglu world was just absolute trash. Seela and Jing Yuan are comically...
Ooh, don't get me started on freaking Jing Yuan. I mean, Jing Yuan's literally been power crept like something shocking. I mean, don't get me wrong, he looks awesome. But yeah, Jing Yuan is literally... we don't call him Mid Yuan for nothing. And Seela's just not that good anymore. I mean, I wasn't around when Seela, to be honest, I feel like Seela now should just be a standard betting character now. She might as well just drop it to the standard betting category.
Bad at this point. Like, Jing Yuan got buffs every single patch, and we all memed on how bad he was, but it was clear that the developers liked him and wanted him to be good. only for his final buff to be followed by Acheron coming out and just blowing him out of the water. Seela, at least at the time of me recording this video, is the best in slot on a mono quantum team, and one could actually reasonably argue she is single-handedly dragging that entire team down. Mono quantum isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but having the Hunt quantum character from version 1.0 leading the charge is not a very good look, and at least from what I've heard, there was actually a quantum destruction character in the files, so something tells me Seela's not going to be too long for that team either. Now, after Seela, you have Blade, and Blade is a joke in of himself. I think we've all seen that video that's like, I will dispatch you in 7 cycles, and then like he does what, like 18,000 damage? It's pretty bad for Blade. I don't know though, Vars tells me he's actually pretty good, so who knows. A lot of Blade's
I don't really have a problem with Blade though. I feel like I don't particularly have an issue with Blade. I think Blade's definitely very strong. Again, I mean that's pretty much, that is open to interpretation though with Blade. But I don't think Blade is as bad as what people say. I think Blade is decent. I don't have Blade, so I can't. But I've used my friend's Blade, and it seems pretty decent. I mean, I just feel like Blade, for Blade's sake, he probably doesn't do as much damage as like new units now. Like he's not the biggest damage dealer in the world anymore, and I feel like, especially with the new Hunt Wind character coming out, he's probably gonna be crept big time.
Problems, though, actually come from, like, a lack of designated supports, and there is an argument to be made that he might be good in the future, but as of now, it ain't looking too great for him. Luocha's next, and he's pretty cool and all. He was actually my first foray into Honkai Star Rail meta, and much like today, a lot of people told me I was wrong when I said Huohuo would be better than him. Lo and behold, she's better than him. But yeah, no, Luocha's not that great. I mean, he heals a lot, and he's good for, like, skill point management, but very few teams have skill point issues now. I think the most skill-intensive team in the game is a DHIL team comp, but Sparkle completely alleviated that, and I actually ran DHIL with Avengerine and Sparkle, and it was completely fine. The only thing that Luocha has that Huohuo doesn't is that he can auto-heal a huge amount to a single target, but even then, it's debatable if he's actually worth using over Huohuo. Like, sure, he's still good.
Ooh. I mean, it's the whole Luocha, Huohuo argument. I think Luocha heals a lot more than Huohuo. What Huohuo got compared to what Luocha's got compared to Huohuo is he can heal. Is it with the auto heal? Plus he heals a lot. I mean a fuck ton. Huohuo doesn't use her heals was not her ult as a heal, and that's what I like about Huohuo. I mean, to be honest, if I have to be real, I think Luocha to me is dropped to the third best healer in the game, because I think personally I think Gallagher is better. I think Gallagher's a better healer personally. To be honest, I'm gonna be honest. I think Gallagher heals better than Luocha does. I think what Luocha has that a lot of that Huohuo and Gallagher doesn't have is that auto heal. The thing is, again, auto heal doesn't mean good though.
But he's not the best. Next up you have like Silverwolf, and actually Silverwolf is interesting because she kind of fluctuates in her value. Like one patch she's really bad, and then the next patch she's really good. As time goes on though, I do think eventually she'll be replaced, but at least as of now she's probably the best off. Bushwan and Huohuo, go ahead and lump them in there. I don't really like talking about these because they are limited sustains, like we expect them to be good. They're both still extremely solid options though. DHIL is okay. Like, he can still kind of clear under the right circumstances of a team. And I know a lot of people make the argument of, oh, but he's got an all 5-star team and he's clearing. Oh, that doesn't count. Okay, well then you can't use your 5-star team for your DOT. And furthermore, you aren't allowed to use a 5-star team for your follow-up. So if you want to make the only 5-star argument, shut up. It doesn't matter. Still though, if you're against Imaginary, he might be able to clear with enough time for your second team to win, but your second team's gonna have to be pretty stacked, otherwise it's just not happening. Jinglu, we already discussed. Ranmei's amazing, no one's ever going to deny that. Amazing. Kafka still exists because she has a role no one else can counteract. Ratio is likely to be replaced very soon by Fi Zhao, which really only leaves Argenti, the character so forgettable. They did not voice act him for 2 consecutive patches and then completely replaced his voice actor with a new person. R.I.P. Mr. Dale. What's really funny about Argenti though is that he was supposed to be like the pure fiction unit, right? The funny thing is though, he's really bad at it. Like, Argenti is trash in pure fiction. A lot of the pure fiction modifiers end up having stuff like, oh, this is the follow-up team and this is the...
As someone who actually likes Argenti, I don't use him in pure fiction at all. It's annoying because I like Argenti. I like Argenti a lot. I think Argenti can be a good unit, but he's been, well, amounts of everybody else. He's definitely been power crept. I feel like Argenti can be good, but you need a certain team to make him good, in my opinion. But I still think Argenti's damage is still quite up there, in my opinion.
DOT team, and this is the break team, and really none of those lend themselves very well to Argenti's playstyle, which is just ooga booga ult spam. And it's funny because to that extent he ends up being really bad at it. And honestly, the entire discussion of pure fiction ruining new units is one that is worth having, with Jade being the most recent character on the chopping block, you know, completely unusable outside of pure fiction. So basic.
I don't think that's true. I think Jade is made to be a secondary DPS. I think she works really well with the new March. I think she looks very well with the new March, and I think that's combining with the new March with maybe like maybe not a Ron, maybe like a Ting, maybe like a Ting Yu and a Hua. I think it'll go. That game will slap, or even like a Sparkle instead of Ting Yu. I think that team will slap.
Basically, the development team allocated resources to create a character who only works in one game mode, maybe 2 battles every like month, if the modifiers follow up. That's Jade's niche right now. Again, discussion for another day though. Now, when I list out all these characters, you may hear them be like, oh, well, Solo, it can't be that bad. Surely you're over-exaggerating. And you're right, you know, I might be a little bit, you know, mileage may vary depending on people, but the thing is though, I've never really been wrong when it came to meta. I have a extremely good success rate on this sort of thing because I just kind of tend to tunnel vision on the future to the point where I can't really see the immediate present, and I can say with a pretty fair amount of certainty it's not really going to get any better. It's not like the company has a financial incentive to make the old units more powerful again. You know, you can say what you will, like who you like, but that's just kind of how it is. Business is business. You know, you may try and tell me it ain't always about the money, but when it comes down to big business, it is. They would much rather.
I think I do believe that they're doing this is the only. Maybe, like, I wouldn't say it's buffing the old units, but definitely making it clear that the new units need the characters are in the rerun better at the time. Because it seems weird that they brought Ranmei ahead of... They brought Ranmei ahead for Firefly, and they brought Sparkle ahead of ratio. So with the new units, they're literally saying you need these rerun characters to in that team with the new unit. That's what I believe they're doing, is they're making the banded character, the premium banded character, work synergize with the rerun banner. It makes sense because obviously sales wise, I think that's a brilliant idea, because then it gives you a reason to pull on the rerun banner as well. So I don't think that they're completely not like buffing or like buffing old characters. I think they're doing it with, well, not really buffing, but they're making it so it's the new premium banner character synergizes with the rerun banner character, so you can have them both have them in the same team. That's what I believe in my opinion.
Make $100,000 immediately, as opposed to making like 50 grand 4 times over the course of like 3 weeks, because to them that number being bigger in the now is worth it in the long run. And when it comes to in the now, the best option is always just make a new character and make them stronger. That's the way to go. And you can actually see this reflected pretty well in the MOC HP pools, where the current MOC has double the health that the ones at the end of version 1.6 had, which that's cool. We love that. And then you also have characters like Acheron, who for whatever reason get the privilege of inflicting resistance penetration with their ultimate, which she didn't need that. She absolutely did not need that. You only gave that to her to make her stronger than she should have been. Or also Firefly, who, yeah, she has some hard counters here and there, but ultimately ends up just being a weapon of mass destruction in anything you bring her up against. It's very obvious the direction that Honkai Star Rail is taking when it comes to power creep, with that being the kind of explosive meta. But I will say that at least as of now, it does seem to be kind of tapering off a little bit. Usually I wouldn't talk about, my dreams, but I don't care. He's coming out tomorrow. If you've been following the progress of like the current Foxian, you know that they absolutely neutered him when it came down to this most recent update. Like, he's a shell of his former self. Also, apparently, they're like nerfing Fijao a lot before her release, which that's cool. No, I don't really know too much on that. I've only been heard through like word of mouth. Haven't really been paying attention to the scene at all, and it's been wonderful. Point is, it does seem like they are kind of taking a step back, but I would say I don't expect it to get any better in the future. Star Rail's current state is either you have what you need to clear, or you do not, and you will lose. Io was on Twitter not too long ago making a lot of claims like, oh, power creep's not that bad. And then I think it was like Tectone challenged him to beat like the new game mode, and then he went and did it with Silverwolf, a character who he previously said new players or old players shouldn't suggest pulling. And then when I saw him do it, I said, yeah, okay, cool, now do it without Silverwolf. Let's see if you can clear it. And to which he said, no, I already have my hands behind his back, which, that's fair. But still, the point is, his absolute avoidance on doing it without Silverwolf just kind of proves my point. Like, you either have what you need to clear or you don't. Like, if you didn't have Silverwolf or you didn't have Himiko, you're out of luck. True, and that there is the game. Because, yeah, Star Rail may be an RPG and there's, so much strategy. There's really not. Like, the strategy all comes from having the consideration to do prep work and pull the right characters. The idea that there is any amount of skill in Star Rail is honestly a topic for another day, because the idea of skill is based on the notion of execution and timing, which Star Rail doesn't have the timing part, and the execution is prep work. But again, before I get too off topic, video for another day, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. And as for a closing statement on this video, I will say that when I finally beat MOC 12, it wasn't because I had strategized, it was because I pulled Firefly. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been XGO Solo. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, I will see you around. Later.
That was a good video, actually. I do think, let's be honest, the two best units at the moment as an Acheron team that's going to be boosted by Jalq coming out, and obviously Acheron, and also Firefly. It's a break team. Oh, hey, mate. up a daisy. I do think this is probably this. As it's too early in the 2 minute. Really, there's those two teams at the moment. So, and like, let's be honest, nobody really pulled for Young Lee, to be honest. So like, I feel like a lot of people would all pull for Zhao Q, because Zhao Q is going to be massive for the Acheron team. But good video.
Don't come to my house or else I'll suck your dick, blood. I'll suck your blood. Oh, shit.